All right, well, let's kick this off. Welcome, I'm Brian Herbst. I'm Chief Strategist with UnifiedCommunications.com. And I'm really excited to be here with you and with some special guests for the second part of our Reimagining the Workplace series that we're doing with Microsoft and Neat. I'm coming to you live from UC's Envisioning Center in Houston, Texas. And I have some rock star guests. For those that missed the first session, you will be able to fully, we're going to just keep going. And I guess with that, we've got some rock stars that I would like to introduce, Jimmy and Graham. For anybody who doesn't know you guys, let's let you do some just quick introductions and then we'll dive in.
Sure. Thanks, Ryan. My name's Jimmy Vaughn. I am a partner technical strategist here at Microsoft for Microsoft Teams Room Systems. I come from a very long background, very years and years and years in conference room technology, all the way from link rooms to Skype rooms to now Teams rooms. So I'm happy to be here. Ryan, while you're down there in Texas, I'm from the great state of New Jersey. So we've got an international audience, and I'm going to hand it over to Graham so he can introduce where he's from today, too.
Absolutely.
Thank you both. So yeah, Graham Walsh, product specialist here at Neat and Microsoft MVP. I'm here from, where am I? In Cobham, in Surrey, in England, in a hotel room. On my Neat frame. So using the technology, it's portable, carry it with me wherever I go.
Wonderful. Well, again, Rockstar teams, guests, MVPs, and privileged to have you guys with us. So at Unified Communications, we work with customers who are wanting to lean into Teams. Our focus is around meetings, calling, and devices. Neat is a very important strategic partner with really innovative devices, and so yeah, I think this is going to be a great session. And this topic again around reimagining the workplace is top of mind. This is what all of us are spending all of our time doing these days, is making sure that that we hit the mark, that we get it right around our return to work and hybrid and reimagined workplace projects. So just a little housekeeping before we officially dive in. This meeting is being recorded, and so if and we're using Teams webinar, which is great, familiar interface for all of us. The meeting link, the recording will be shared afterward, and we're using the chat function. So if you would like to ask a question, you can chat that in now. We'll do our best to get that answered during the session. If not, we'll certainly follow up with you afterward. I know many of you are enjoying a complimentary lunch, courtesy of Neat and Unified Communications. I know there may be a handful that came in just after the cutoff and weren't able to get lunch. But hopefully, for those of you that are enjoying it, again, big thanks to Neat for sponsoring, and for others, sorry that we just missed a handful at the cutoff. And with that, I'd like to pass the baton over to you, Jimmy, to take us through kind of how Microsoft kind of thinks about a reimagined workplace with Teams and Teams rooms.
Absolutely. Thanks, Ryan. And when we're talking about reimagining in the first place, it's important to set the stage, and it's important for all of us to sort of have that ground level that we're working from. So 2 years ago, we all got into a situation around the world that was new to everybody, and something really revolutionary happened when we all moved to remote work. But now, as we are here 2 years later, what's happening and how are we envisioning exactly how people will work? Because work has now become a thing we do, not necessarily a place that we go. So we can work from a whole bunch of different places, and hybrid work is really where we at Microsoft see everything going. We know that not everybody is going to be in the office. And why would you go back to the office at this point? Well, it's really to collaborate in person and have those in-person experiences with meetings. But every year, Microsoft does what's called the Work Trend Study Index. And we ask many of our top customers around the world, how are you working? And how are you as IT decision makers actually figuring out how you're going to approach this new way of work and this hybrid work experience? And they've been very clear with us. Not everybody will be in the office. Now, there are some jobs that require people being in an office, and those people will be back at work. But when I go back to work, I don't necessarily want to always spend time on remote meetings. Why would I go back to the office only to do the same exact thing that I can do from home? So while employees are looking and saying, I need this flexible work environment, people are saying, okay, well, we want to go back to the office because we want those in-person interactions. And if we go back to the office and we know not everybody's going to be there, we know that remote work is a place where we have to, is something that we have to satisfy for when we think about our conference rooms and we think about our shared spaces. When Microsoft looks at things, we look at devices in two different categories. One is a personal device, and the personal device is something that I have that is identifiable to myself. Maybe that's my mobile device, or maybe that's my laptop. And when I look at the other category of devices, we look at shared devices and shared spaces, and they are treated differently inside of the organization by users. I don't want to walk into a conference room and see something that Ryan or Graham had on their screen that was personal to them and left behind from the other meeting. And that's why we design things for the shared spaces. And again, as we work through this, we know that things have changed. We know that people's activities have changed. How they approach the office have changed. And we want to make sure that everybody is equal footing inside of that meeting. And when I say equal footing inside of that meeting, let's think about how we were actually approaching meetings and the technology prior to the pandemic. You saw things like the whiteboard that was inside of the room. That was difficult to see. So as product managers, what Microsoft and others were doing was looking at things and saying, well, how do we solve for that? And we came up with a content camera that can actually zoom in on that whiteboard and bring it into the meeting experience so that remote employees were now on the same level. Well, as we go back to the office, we've got to think a little bit further. And Graham's going to show you some of the camera technology that actually takes place to allow to identify people that are inside of that room. Because when I walk into the room, I want to be identified as my own person. I don't want to just see a bowling alley effect or that room in general. I want to look at the camera as a canvas, and I want to break out that canvas and give everybody their own square. So we know that hybrid meetings are here to stay. We know that this is the way that we're going to move forward. We know that we have to outfit meeting rooms, and we have to make sure that those meeting rooms are outfitted with technology that not only solves for the in-person experience, but solves for those that we're bringing in remotely as well. And when we talk about Microsoft Teams rooms, we talk about 4 pillars that Microsoft Teams rooms are designed on. Number 1 is the inclusivity. We want to make sure that everybody can be seen and heard inside of that meeting room. And those remote participants are also seen and heard. That's why when we partner with companies like we do with Neat, we make sure that their devices work. We don't want to take that chance that as integrators and end users, they're going to fall into a situation where not everything works inside of that space. And when we certify devices from our partners at Neat, we ask for, number 1, a time commitment, and number 2, a financial commitment, because this is the way that we go through. Their systems are tested inside of laboratories. And there's 2 laboratories in the world that test these systems, and they have to meet a strict list of guidelines to be able to be certified. So that's how we bring everybody inclusive inside of the meetings. And secondly, they have to be easy for everybody to use. If you think back to how conference room technologies were made in the past, they're difficult. And many people walking into a room did not know how to use things. They don't know how to start that meeting. They don't know actually how to dial that meeting or complicated dial strings. So that single touch join that we've all had to join this meeting here, that now transfers to the shared space with Neat devices where you can just walk in, you hit a button, and you're automatically inside of that meeting, removing the complexities that had existed inside of conference rooms before. Flexibility is, again, one of the key pillars that we design on as well. Making sure that you can Teams enable any space in your organization, and making sure that those shared devices are secured by design. Many of you might have heard about Microsoft's Zero Trust initiative, making sure that we don't just say, hey, you can add this and it's automatically trusted. There's a whole bunch of things that go into making sure that it's secured by design. And when putting something inside of your conference rooms, you want to make sure that those devices are secure. We don't want people logging in with their personal accounts if it's going to be an open room. We want to be able to actually have that anonymous device that people work into, and then when they're sharing content or collateral, it's actually under the identifiable person itself. So again, those are the 4 pillars that we work on when we're designing Teams rooms. And we make the shift to Teams rooms because we make sure that those shared spaces are a purpose-built device that works inside of the shared space. We don't want people just bringing in their laptop, which might be identified as Jimmy Vaughn, into the conference room, and everybody huddles around, and everybody in that room is identified as Jimmy Vaughn. We want to make sure that the technology that we're bringing into that room is inclusive for everybody that's inside of that room. And again, with devices from Neat, we can make sure that no matter what your space is, we've got technology and we've got a device that fits and Teams enable your space. Those shared spaces are as important as your personal devices when your users will be coming back to the office. And as we said at the beginning, we know not everybody will be in the office, which means that a majority of meetings may have a remote aspect to it. Not everyone will, but when they do, we want to make sure that everybody's there. And Graham, I think you are going to take us through some Neat devices and some of the Neat portfolio here to really show us the power that Microsoft Neat and Unified Communications really brings to the organizations.
Thanks, Jimmy, for that great insight. So yeah, we have the ability to have a range of certified devices now for Microsoft Teams. And as we see here on the slide, we have a range of devices. Some are already certified, some are about to enter certification program. So over on the left-hand side, we have the Neat board, an all-in-one 65-inch display, built-in camera, mic and speakers, and just a simple power cord coming out of the device. So easily to move around, plug in, and get going. Obviously, it should be on a wired network, but it does also support a Wi-Fi network if you need to. Again, all-in-one touchscreen. So again, you can take over PowerPoint. So if someone's using PowerPoint Live, you can take over the slides, move them across. And obviously then the other key feature is Microsoft Whiteboard. So having the main feature with Microsoft Whiteboard, having all the tools, even now the rulers there. I love that on the Surface Hub. That's really cool because I can never draw straight anyway. So having the access to Microsoft Whiteboard and having that on there now is really good. And very soon we'll also have the ability to walk up and whiteboard. So rather than having to start a meeting and then share your whiteboard, very soon with the next version of the application, you'll be able to walk up and whiteboard and then start collaborating, brainstorming your ideas, bringing up a template, whatever it might be. And then also and then sharing that with someone. So inviting someone to the meeting, and then that passes that whiteboard over to your secure Office 365. Because the device doesn't have storage, it doesn't want to save any data. So it's nice and secure. It stays within your permissions within 365. The other nice feature is now that we have BYOD mode, you can plug in your laptop, Windows, you can then tether that and then use that 65-inch display to use your Windows laptop. So if you need to do any other third-party whiteboarding or bring up a word browser, bring up a Word document, you can then use that big touchscreen as your touchscreen interface on there. So it's really great. By default, it comes with a tabletop stand, so you put it on the a credenza, then an optional wall mount or the trolley mount, which is what a lot of people do because then they can Teams enable any meeting space very quickly. And that's what Ryan is on today.
I am sitting in front of a Neat board right now. I think everybody got a sense that I stood up and moved around a little, and there's some pretty sophisticated camera AI in here that will move with me. And yeah, if we bring another, Graham, I'm just thinking that it may make sense for me to bring somebody else in just to show kind of symmetry in a moment. But yeah, I'll do that. This is the magic of live events. I'll go literally just grab someone quick in a moment. But yeah, continue.
Sure. And one popular question that comes up a lot is, how does it compare to a Surface Hub that we can see just behind Ryan's shoulder there? And they're two different devices. They're different device categories. So they can coexist in an organization very well. If you think of a neat board, Microsoft Teams Rooms does video great, but it also does whiteboarding. If you think of the Surface Hub as a collaboration device on steroids, you can walk up, sign in, get all your OneDrive documents, access any third-party applications, sideload other applications on there, but also do video. And again, Surface Hub has a new camera, which is really great. You can add on to it as well. And obviously comes in two different sizes, whereas Neatboard comes in that single 65-inch. So the two can work in hand. You might have some power users that are able to, use all the features and potential of the Surface Hub. With the Neatboard, a great video device that also does whiteboarding.
Wonderful. So as you can see, Alan, impromptu guest, just popped in to join us, and you can see that using the power of Neat's AI, it was able to kind of expand and see that there were two of us here, and then it using Neat Symmetry technology. Maybe Graham, you can describe a little bit about what Symmetry is and what it's doing, but I realized that you're without any extra folks there on the road. So I wanted to help out and make sure that the audience got to see some of the power of this AI.
So thanks, Ryan. Yeah, so Neat Symmetry is actually a patented technology now that we have here at Neat. And basically, it's picking up people in a room. And whether you are facing the camera or even maybe facing away, drawing on a traditional whiteboard, it will still capture people, even side on. So it's framing those people in the room. And that's one element. And then on the Neat board, Neat bar, which is for small rooms to medium rooms, it will frame up to 8 groups of people. So if people are close together, you might be in the same frame. And then on the frame that I'm on here today, that small personal device or for huddle space, that will frame up to 4 people. And then when we go into the medium to large spaces with Neatbar Pro, we'll actually frame up to 15 people or groups of people. So again, for those larger spaces, we'll be able to frame lots of people, and then everyone gets an individual sort of square on that stream. And then we're going to take that to another level later on this year with Microsoft and take that into the intelligent video category. So Microsoft have just started announcing this on the Windows platform. It will come to the Android platform, and we'll take these individual feeds and give everyone their own celebrity square on your Teams client. So that's one element of Neat Symmetry. We also have another feature called Neat Boundary that will also set up. It's like a virtual boundary of where Ryan is in that open space. If people do walk past, you can block it out and only tell the camera, look, maybe 3 meters depth or 6 feet depth. And also here with myself, if I get up, stand around, the camera automatically tracks me and follows me. I haven't got to press anything. I've got no control pads. Same with Ryan. We haven't got to frame anything. Everything is automatic. So making it really, really simple for users to be engaged in their meeting. And it will just follow and track and frame a center wherever we are. And that's across our whole range. So that's on all our video devices. So that's what's neat about Neat in terms of our camera technology.
So Graham, I guess that new functionality would give us an ability to, let's say we got glass on a side wall of our conference room, and people are walking by, and we want the camera not to consider those folks. That's the type of functionality?
Exactly, yeah. So yeah, a lot of people have glass, or some people have their founders on the back wall. Here's our co-founders of the company, and you don't want the camera zooming in across there. So you set that boundary maybe to 6 meters where that table ends. So it only picks up people around the table or around that social area. With the Neat board, it can be very flexible where it's deployed. And there might be a coffee machine, nearby with people walking past. So you narrow that boundary down. So maybe it's like 2 meters or 3 meters around the space. And again, with the Neat frame that I'm on today, having a small space, because it's the personal device, I don't want people walking past on my cube, it will ignore them and wouldn't frame them. So again, having that boundary feature is a really great addition to our technology.
Wonderful. Alan, I want to thank you.
Thank you.
So I think you'll get a sense of so Alan, as he leaves the room, the Symmetry and the camera AI is going to quickly detect that just Ryan left, and with magic, I'm back here as an individual.
Brilliant. Then the other features that you can see on the wall there, we have on the tabletop we have the Neat Pad, and that is that center of room console. So connected over the network, it can be placed anywhere in the room where there's a network connectivity, or it can be local power. And that's what we include in the box. Every single mounting adapter, PoE injector as well. So if your site swears blind they have PoE everywhere, and you go and plug it in and it's dead, don't worry, you're going to get that installed right first time. Bring it in a local power injector and get it on the network. But it also supports Wi-Fi if you need to put that pad on Wi-Fi. It's signed into your Microsoft Teams Room standard account. So today it supports one center room console on the Android platform. And then hanging on the wall, we see the Teams panel. So again, the same pad with dual functionality. When you have that out-of-box experience, it asks you, what do you want to do with it? Do you want it to be a room controller, or do you want to be a scheduler? So very easy to switch. So if you want some maintenance spares, you only have to keep one type of pad, and you boot it up into whatever flavor you need it to be in. So Teams panel. So again, it's the same 8-inch touchscreen. It's got the lights down the side. And actually, during a call, if you do mute, the lights go red, so you can see from the center of room console if you're muted. The Teams panel also supports Power Apps, so those line of business applications. If you fancy getting fancy with Power Apps and developing your own applications, maybe a room cleaning request or a catering request, or looking up the shuttle timetable back to the car park, you can develop Power Apps on there, which is really, really cool as well. And again, just requires that single PoE cable on the wall or wherever it's mounted. It comes with several different mounted brackets for that. And then we move on to the Neat Bar. So this is the certified device for small to medium rooms, again using the exact same camera technology as what is in the Neat board. So 12 megapixel up to a medium-sized room. Everything is included, and all the different mounted brackets. If you want it on the table, you want it above the screen, below the screen, inverted, it's all automatic. And then finally, for the medium to large room spaces, we have Neat Bar Pro, which is about to enter certification for Teams rooms. So it's going to enter certification for medium room first, and then go through large room. And when I say large room, we're talking up to 11 meters, 30 plus feet for meeting spaces. So again, it's got 2 new cameras on there, 50 megapixel each. Again, auto waking sensors, so it wakes the screens up. All the Android devices support for the Bar and Bar Pro support that dual display. So if you wanted that 2 large format displays on there, so it's got that great technology in there. And again, all the microphones are built in, so nothing to run on the tabletop, making it very, very clean and simple. And then finally, what I'm on today, the Neat Frame, running preview software. You should never probably do this in a live webinar, but hey, we live life on the edge here. Running the Teams display software. So it's a category above Teams Phone, but below Teams Room. Teams display is going to be in 2 flavors. The first certification is in personal mode, so it's signed in as me. I've got all my contacts on here. I've got all my Teams chat. I can look up any files in OneDrive I've recently opened. I can look up my Viva Insights, and obviously join calls, webinars with a single tap to join. And I can even do PowerPoint Live and take control of the presentation, because I think Jimmy's sharing the presentation. So I've got full control here with the slides on my frame as well. And again, that includes that neat Symmetry. It has that privacy shutter, and it is portable. One power cord, plugged it into the socket here, and I've taken it from the Commsverse show that we're going to be here at tomorrow in Weybridge, and I'll bring it back there in the morning. So it really is a portable device. And again, this is about to enter certification as well, and we're looking at a Q3 timeframe for this. The second mode, once we're certified in personal mode, will be shared mode. So you assign that Microsoft Teams Room license, and where we have the bottom half of the screen, that will turn into like a booking panel, very much like a Teams panel. So you can walk up, Jimmy wants to reserve this hot desk space from 2 to 3 p.m. He'll be able to put in his name, hit reserve, and then that books out the hot desk area and also puts it in Jimmy's calendar. And then he has the choice to walk in, use that shared resource account to make that call, or sign in, hot desk, log in with his own credentials. He's got his calendar and make those calls. So that'll be post certification. And some other features on there. It has deep noise suppression. So I've got a Cat5 cable here on a packet, and if I rustle that, I can hear it rustling. Hopefully you didn't hear that. It's blocking out all this sort of technology. Keyboard noise reduction. So it's doing it in combination, because Teams had all this AI in there as well, but we also have it at a hardware layer too.
Graham, I just think I was just going to say, maybe we'll back up for just a second to that slide. That it's when you look at neat products, and there's the same consistency that we're going for in terms of experience, that we want to feel teams when we come wherever we connect, whether it's office or mobile or work from home. It's Neat's products are very striking in terms of a consistency of design as well. I think that's really clear. And one of the things that one of my takeaways when I look at these products, and they create, there's a magnetism, there's an excitement that they create, and that goes a long way, because I think we know from a return to office and return to work perspective, that bar, and I say this regularly, that bar is really high, and we need technology that when people walk in is going to grab them and pull them in, and then through the features like the Symmetry and the audio AI features that are coming, things like that ability to cancel out background noise. We want those folks that are sitting in a shared space to really feel a different experience in terms of the human connection that they're having in that room, different experience in terms of the technology in that room, where they're able to have this truly compelling, engaging, hybrid experience. And so, yeah, Jimmy, I just wanted kind of your take here as well. I think this lineup is super, super strong. And the other thing that's kind of noteworthy is just how simple from a deployment perspective these products are. They're all in one, their compute is built in. The bars just sit on top of a display. The board is super simple. You pull it out of a box and put it on a stand. Panel and frame, they all have this kind of simplicity to them, where there's not a lot of components, not a lot of moving parts. Doesn't take a really advanced, it doesn't mean folks like us won't help you deploy products like this. We certainly do and can, but it's a very simple skill set that can bring these things to life. And that's important in terms of being able to move quickly and scale these days. So I just wanted to share a little analysis, and Jimmy, kind of want to get your take as well.
I think it's important for everybody to understand that the Neat products are, like you said, very simple to use, very simple to install. The idea of taking down a conference room for days to install all of these audio components, all of these video components, everything, those kind of days are sort of what we used to think about. Now, with products like Neat, you can outfit a room in probably less than under 5 minutes, to be honest with you. Now, to that point, I don't want people to think, hey, this is something I should undertake myself. The reason why Microsoft works with partners like UC.com and making sure that OEM devices from Neat are there is to make sure that when you get these devices, they are working as expected. They have the experience, and they can know how these are going to actually integrate, number one, inside of your room, and number two, inside of your tenancy. Remember that fourth pillar that we spoke about was the idea of security and zero trust security. This is software that is written by Microsoft to specifically work inside of Teams, and specifically work inside of Teams in a way that it is expanding your use of Teams from your personal device to that shared space. So while we do look at things and we make sure that everything is there, we want to also make sure that people understand it's through partners that we really work best. And these are the partners that we work with Neat and UC.com to make sure that you as customers are enabled correctly.
So I just want to remind our audience that you can chat in. You've got a great lineup here. Jimmy and Graham are legendary in this industry, and so let's have a conversation. Feel free to chat in questions about Neat products, about Teams rooms, about your journey through hybrid work and kind of reimagining your workspaces. Because again, great opportunity. It looks like we will have some time for questions. But yeah, Graham, I know we went through product, and yeah, anything else that you wanted to share in terms of demonstration? I know we took care of the Symmetry demonstration here. Yeah.
So actually, because I've moved to my laptop, I can now show you the actual frame. Here it is live, and unfortunately, there's not a dark mode yet, but that's something that will come. So again, looking at the footprint, it's very small on the tabletop, and it just has that single power cord to connect in. So again, very easy to transport, and we have that carry handle to move it around. Some other features on the frame which are quite nice is the ability to pair my Bluetooth headset. So I can plug this in, pair it, so I can either hardwire it. There's a USB-C port at the back, or I can very simply just pair it over Bluetooth like you would with your cell phone, for example. So nice ability there to do that. There's also 3.5mm jack. So if you've got a nice stereo headphone, you can plug that in if you're still a bit old school. The other use for that USB-C port then would be if you wanted to hardwire it. So by default, it is Wi-Fi, the frame. But if you want to put in a USB Ethernet adapter because you want that, wired network, hence my mind dropped, over Wi-Fi with my tethering to my cell phone, you could hardwire it so it's obviously always connected. As pointed out, it has a privacy shutter as well, so it will shut that down. So when you do shut the camera, it shuts that down as well. And that's it's been shipping a while in terms of the hardware itself. So it was released this year, and obviously it's going to go through that certification finally. So we've been demoing it at Infocom, Enterprise Connect, and I think one of the key things is in terms of the productivity of the device. One of the big things that people say to us, I want it as my second screen. For me, if you want a second screen, go and buy $100 from Best Buy monitor. This is a video first device. Looking at that portrait, full immersive experience when you're on that call. It offloads all your Teams work, so I can look at all my chats, I can reply, and when I better together mode it, so when I pair it on my Windows laptop, I'm able to. I've got the option reply on computer, and it'll open that chat exactly in Teams. When I'm viewing documents in my file browser within OneDrive, if I open up a PowerPoint, I can't edit it, but what I can do is hit open in desktop, and then I'm able to edit it inside my Teams client. So a really nice integration between those two when you put it in that better together mode.
And Graham, I see a question in there from Benjamin about satellite mics and having that mute function, which brings up a great thing that's inside of Teams. So one of the things that's inside of Teams is the ability to know that you're inside of a room with your personal device, so that when you join that meeting, you don't have to hunt for the speaker and microphone. The Teams room systems will know that your personal device is actually in a Teams room. So one of the great things, Benjamin, you don't need those table mics to actually mute your device. If you were to launch Teams on your personal device or your cell phone, you can join in what's called companion mode. And when you're inside of a Teams room and you join companion mode, there will be a button that says room controls. You'll have the ability to actually mute, turn on camera, lower or raise the volume. That's what companion mode is, and is making sure that all of the devices that are inside of that room understand each other and can work together. So that's one of the things that I think is really, really important, Graham, is to understand. We probably didn't go through all the functions of Teams, but I think that one of the things that I keep on reiterating to people, this takes your personal device and brings it into those shared spaces and really takes your Teams journey all the way across. So those technologies that might have been there in the past where I need a dedicated device to do this, it may live inside of Teams and we can actually use it. Another example of that, Graham, being able to do Teams casting. Many times there was another device that sat inside of the conference room so that I could share my screen to the front of the room. Inside of Teams, we have Teams casting. There is no need for another audio-visual device to be in there. The Neat bar and the Neat board, all that I need to do is just hit Teams, say casting. It will know that I'm inside of the room, and all of a sudden now I'm sharing my screen to the front of the room. So that's really where you have to shift your thinking of the old devices and make sure that you're engaging with our partners to make sure that they can help you understand exactly what you need inside of that room.
I think
Jimmy, you're good. Go ahead, Greg.
I was going to add, adding all these features that are in Teams today, which many people may not know about. Being able to use your cell phone with the Teams client as a remote control for that room. So as you say, having you want to be able to mute it at the back of the room if the pad's at the front of the room. When you join the meeting on your phone, as Jimmy says, it's intelligent. It will disable your audio and video, and you've got ability to adjust the volume, turn the cameras on and off, and adjust the microphone. So having that companion sorry, not companion mode, because that's another feature. Having the remote control feature on Teams rooms is a really good asset on there, and that can be disabled per meeting as well. So if you don't want, especially in education, if you don't want people playing with your meetings, you could disable remote control from that console, so people can't join in and make changes on there. And I touched on another bit there, companion mode. So if you do have a board maybe and it's signed in as yourself in your personal space, what you're able to do is join it on your personal device, and then send reactions, again, control that camera, so just like you're being there without having to be at the screen. So companion mode, it's available for iOS. I believe it'll probably come to Android at some point, so you've got that feature as well.
Agreed. Yeah, no, I think part of the experience that was really lacking when we left the office, when people came back, they missed reactions in chat. The rest of that meeting experience that we were so engaged with when working at home. And so I think companion mode is a really important part of bringing that whole experience and being kind of actively engaged in the meeting, leveraging personal devices. In addition to kind of gaining access to room remote, there's all this goodness. Jimmy, so I think you're getting called out on the 5-minute deployment to elaborate, but I think it's fair. We should talk about it for a moment. The idea is, with your first device, probably the first Android device that you bring into your environment, if you've never done a Teams panel or a Teams phone or a Teams room or a Teams display, there's probably a little bit of work of just kind of getting that first device going. And once that's done, there's a pretty simple rinse and repeat kind of template for this. It's just literally there's something like board. You pull that out of a box. This stand assembles in a couple of minutes. It powers up. You enter credentials. It's going to go through some. You're going to want to update it but that doesn't have to happen that second. You could do that through Teams Admin Center kind of later and go home and come back. But there really isn't a lot to these. I think all of these products. You think about Bar. With Bar, I pull it out of the box, I put it on top of a display. It connects to network, it connects to power, it connects HDMI to my display, and the panel that I would put on the table connects PoE. There's no physical connection between the table and the touch panel that's going to sit on the table and the bar that's going to sit on the display. So this is a very, very lightweight, different type of deployment than a traditional AV VC type room.
I think the major point there is how easy it is to install. Please don't take that and say, well, it took me 6 minutes to install my bar and Jimmy wasn't actually accurate. The idea here is really how easy it is, because conference room technology that used to exist used to have to shut down a room for days. And that's really where you're looking at things. Some of these devices can be installed in a relatively short period of time. And that's what we want to make sure that we get across. Ryan and Graham, you guys know, Microsoft doesn't look at one room. We look at how you can do 100 rooms. We look at how you can do 1,000 rooms. Microsoft is always looking at scale and saying, how do we make sure that, to your point, Ryan, this is rinse and repeat, and we can do this on a larger scale than just that one room. And that's really where we want to sort of make sure that people understand where it is. And I saw that Benjamin wanted to go on the companion mode, and this is going to be an example of why we make personal devices and why we make shared devices. Ben, you're asking if you can actually enter chat through the console itself. Well, think about that console in a shared environment. That is non-identifiable information. You don't want non-identifiable people to actually be able to enter that chat and be able to say something that isn't identifiable to an actual person. And this is why Microsoft has this idea of making sure that you have purpose-built devices inside of the rooms that are shared spaces to make sure that every piece of information is identifiable to a person. Like I said, one of the things that you don't want to do is have all of this anonymous data going around and not being able to know who actually did things. Everything should be attributable to somebody inside of that organization.
Yeah, I know we have a question about casting. Somebody, Marisol, asking if you have, certainly you can cast within your organization. If you have a guest that comes into your environment that is using Teams, but from another organization, or they're using the free Teams, a personal application, can they cast? And Jimmy or Graham, will let you guys take that. And then certainly, I think I just want to make it clear that casting is amazing. There is always a wired ingest scenario. There are some scenarios where somebody may not be able to gain access, and so hopefully becoming less and less common to use kind of wired connection, but it's still an option, and one that we think is a good fallback.
Correct.
So for casting to work, you need to be on the internet. So obviously your devices and your meeting spaces. So again, this applies to rooms and not the Teams display. That's not supported on there as yet. But for Microsoft Teams rooms, you can cast from your mobile devices, your cell phone, Windows, Android, Windows or Mac. That's rolling out, and I believe it should be fully rolled out by the end of this month, according to the Office 365 Message Center. So you go up to your three dots in your Teams client, you hit cast, and then it will discover when you're nearby. So it's using low power Bluetooth. So again, you must make sure Bluetooth is turned on in your phone or your laptop, and then you'll be able to discover the rooms. And that actually has a nice new feature, actually. If there's a scheduled meeting coming up, you are asked, do you want to join and just cast, or do you want to join the meeting and cast? So again, you can join the meeting from your laptop and start wirelessly sharing straight away. So it's a really nice way to start the meeting wirelessly and also share too, so you don't have to be in front of that console. So yeah, Teams casting, very, very powerful to do it on there. Obviously, you can share your window, you can share your desktop, and away you go. And talking about the free Teams client, that one I'm not sure on. I know it works obviously fine once you're signed in on your corporate account. Any ideas, Jimmy, on the free one?
So there is a difference between the free teams and the enterprise teams, or lack of a better word, the teams like we're on right now. There is a difference there. And for the differences, we should really sort of get you engaged with the UC.com people, because there are differences there. So going down that path may lead you in a different way. Just understand, when we're talking about teams, we are talking about the teams like we're on today. Free Teams has a place for small and medium business. But it's not the same as Teams itself. It's a different application that's out there. Now, that's not to say that if your user doesn't have a license inside of this Teams, they still have 100% the capability of being in, and they can come in as a guest inside of your organization. So just because they don't have a license itself doesn't mean that they're excluded. But going down that path of free teams versus the teams that we're on right now, I think that's where we'd engage our partners at UC.com to make sure that the teams that you're using is indeed effective for your use case.
Oh, fair. Yeah, so Graham, I guess from a product perspective, does that wrap up in terms of demonstration? Did we cover everything?
Yeah, I think there's a lot there. There's a lot of technology in these bars. If you get to pick one up, feel one, you'll know how much technology is inside these devices. And again, it's like we describe ourselves like your Sonos or your Tesla. You buy the hardware now, and it gets better over time through software updates, whether it's on the Neat side or even on the Microsoft side. So things like Front Row, that is going to come to Android at a later date. Again, things like Direct Guest Join for Zoom and WebEx, that's going to come to the Android platform. It's starting to roll out now for Zoom. So yeah, there's lots of great features coming to the devices. On the Bar Pro, for example, in those larger spaces. Later on this year, we will enable it so you can connect it into other certified audio. So if you have installed microphones and speakers, carry on using that, and then put a Bar Pro in there. Disable the mic and speakers on board. Use your DSP that's certified for Teams, and then you've got that large room covered with audio. Again, going back to that question about people who wanted satellite mics, you could do that in that sort of environment then.
And Graham, we can go down that technology path of Dante, and we're here to really talk. So if somebody wanted to throw that into the chat, we can go as far as people needed to go down that technology rabbit hole.
But I think there's a big picture point here, which is this product line is currently serves some pretty large spaces, but it's going to be able to serve some extra large spaces soon with Bar Pro being certified, and with the ability to bring in ecosystem partners in the ceiling from an audio perspective, or otherwise, to kind of augment in what could be a multi-purpose room, or somewhere with modular furniture, or somewhere that we just that really gets large, and we want to go to the ceiling for audio. So I think certainly we got a couple more minutes if anyone has questions. So we'll give you kind of last call on questions. I will tell you that as much as it's fun to kind of talk about and show slides, you got to see hopefully some of the power of Neat's AI as we demonstrated Symmetry. There's nothing like really experiencing this in person. And so I have the privilege here at our Envisioning Center of having this board in front of me, and we have Frame and Bar and other devices. We're able to do both in person and virtual demonstrations from this Envisioning Center, and hope that all of you that are watching have an opportunity to really interact with these products. Again, they've got this magnetism to them, and this simplicity that really is exciting, and I think timely, based on this moment that we're all in as we're trying to create these compelling, exciting spaces. So I think we'll wrap if we don't have any other questions. Kind of last call on the question side. Let's see. Can you add functions? Can you add functions via keyboard? So can you attach a keyboard, I guess, is one of the questions coming through chat. Yeah.
So actually you can. So actually on the board, on the bars, even on the frame, you can add a keyboard. So if you have a USB-C keyboard, you can plug that in and use that as an input device on there. I was actually just going to cover, going back to the 5-minute setup. That's out the box, plugging it all in, very, very quick. I think, as we touched on before, you may have some provisioning requirements, in Intune for certainly. These devices auto-enroll into Microsoft Intune or Endpoint Manager. If you are applying the Microsoft Teams Room standard license or premium, actually, we never talked about premium. That's another story. But it includes, that Intune license and Azure P1 now. So the license has got better from Microsoft. It includes all these features. And that's just one extra step to make sure that your environment is allowing Android devices, using Android Devices Administrator, to log on and successfully sign in and register. So that's probably more than 5 minutes, maybe. I was on a call with a customer today, and the logs tell you what the problem is, and you can easily identify it and solve that issue pretty quickly. And then finally, we actually never really talked about management. All managed through Teams Admin Center. So using the native Microsoft Teams Admin Center, the Neat bars, boards are all managed through the Teams Rooms on Android. Panels are in the section as well. And then also the Teams display has its own section in the Teams Admin Center. So all firmware can be pushed out from there to update the devices, reboot them, grab the logs, etc. And then a little sneak peek forthcoming will be management within the Teams Room Premium platform. So I have early code to that. I've seen it working. And I think around September is the sort of go live date for having the Microsoft Teams Room Premium platform manage your Android devices too.
Great point. And Premium, certainly for customers that are looking to take this simple concept and don't have a team of folks to support AV and want to hand some of that responsibility over to Microsoft and partners like Unified Communications. Premium is a really elegant way to get enhanced insights and reporting and alerting. It, like Neat, uses AI for solving issues intelligently. It also has an elevated level of support on the Microsoft side, as well as a ring-based software update framework. And so, big fans of the Premium offering, and Unified Communications has a support offering that rides right on top of Premium and can deliver kind of last mile on-site type of support for customers that are using Premium. So super excited to see that Premium is going to be supporting Android devices. I know it's in preview with Surface Hub and has supported Windows devices, and so that Premium pane of glass is going to become an option for folks with Android very soon.
And a question in saying, is premium the same as managed services? Yes, that is it's had a few names. MMR was the first one, I think, managed meeting rooms. So managed services or Teams Room Premium is what it's known now as, or
Yeah, no, I think
MTRP for short.
That's fair. I think it is the product is Teams Room Managed Services, and I think the license that gives you access to that is the premium license. So yeah, good question. All right. Well, this has been a ton of fun. It always is. Huge thank you again to Jimmy and Graham for joining us. This is the second of our continuing kind of series. This is 2 of 2, and I think we've really kind of we've spent some time covering some ground, and I'm hopeful that all of you watching, kind of seeing the elegance of what Neat can do. The simplicity of how Teams plus Neat in your shared spaces, and in some cases, work from home with products like Frame, can really be that kind of excitement, be some of what gets people kind of motivated, and what prevents people from walking into an office when they come back saying, my gosh, why am I here? There are reasons. I think figuring out that balance, figuring out that mix of what, and that definition of what hybrid means to you, is all of our goal and challenge these days. But these products fit kind of squarely into what we think can help you kind of get to that success line really fast. So this is again being recorded, and so if you want to share this with colleagues, please look for our post-event follow-up. There's also an opportunity. We would love to engage with you and do more of a one-on-one deep dive into your journey. And so we can talk specifically about how Neat products can make sense in your organization, and room design and best practices and strategy and technical readiness. And so as part of that post-event follow-up, be on the lookout for a link that would allow you to schedule a session with a device strategist to go further and talk specifically about Neat in your organization. And with that, Jimmy, Graham, always a pleasure, lots of fun. And I know, Graham, you're going to be at the Converse event tomorrow. If anybody is there, they can stop by and say hello.
Hey, Jim.
Yeah, wonderful. All right. Well, thanks everyone. And with that, we will call it a wrap.
Thank you all.
Thanks, everyone.